This sounds very first world problems, but I can't stand it when people point out that I'm young. Yes, being called young is a compliment, and it should be a compliment. Everybody wants to be considered young or reminded that they're not aging. That's fine, but the extent that people go on, they dismiss the fact that I'm still having issues, and it shouldn't be put under the rug just because I'm not 50 years old. It started back when I worked at Five Guys. There's a particular lady that I've already mentioned in a different story who constantly reminded you of their own age. They were twice as old as I was, being 20 at the time, and they made it a point to remind you how old they were. On top of that, they would go out of their way to show their age by the knowledge they knew. Oftentimes it happened in music. So in the beginning of the day, while we're getting ready for prep, before we even open, we're allowed to listen to music, either on our headphones or through Pandora. And oftentimes we listen to music on Pandora. Most of the music that they played was from like 1980s, 1990s music. Or then some of them is like 1950s. I don't even know how far back, honestly. And while I know all the songs now because they constantly play them at the radio station that I currently work at right now, I didn't know a lot of the songs back then at the time, as Five Guys was the very first job I actually had. Anyways, any song and every song that popped up on the radio that was before my time period, they'd make a point to point it out. They'd either sing some of the lyrics or say, "Oh, I know this song." And then they'd go to turn to me and ask, "Do I know this song?" And before I could answer, they would go, "Oh, you don't know this song, you're too young, you're too young." And it would just frustrate me, and they would do this almost every time. Go for an extremely old ancient song that'd pop on the radio, and then gloat about how old they were and how they knew about the song. It was just frustrating, and there was nothing I could do because I didn't know the song, or the artist. But then came this one glorious day that I wish was more glorious than it actually was, but I'm still going to take the win. The song came on the radio, and to my very luck, it was All Star by Smash Mouth. You know, the famous song that almost everyone knows? Well, it came on the radio, and she was talking once again about how she knew the song. I was singing along to the song, and she was baffled that I even knew the words. And she was like, "You know this song? It's before your time." And I said, "Yeah, the song came out on a very popular movie. Have you ever heard of Shrek?" And she was like, "I had never heard of that movie." And I just looked at her in disbelief that someone so old and so ancient and knew all kinds of knowledge of anything on the media didn't know about Shrek, the most popular movie. Let me look up. When did Shrek come out? 2001. I wouldn't say she was like elderly by the time the movie came out, but surely young enough to have heard it floating around every once in a while. Regardless, she didn't know about the movie, and I finally had the chance to gloat about how someone so wise and so ancient had no idea about this movie. But unfortunately, the win didn't last long because she immediately disregarded the fact that I existed and carried on about her day like nothing happened. But I still danced around in my little shoes, happy that I knew something that she didn't. But that was nice. However, unfortunately, due to her, I just can't stand whenever people make a big deal about how young I am and how I shouldn't be so concerned about old people things. Just because I'm young doesn't mean everything just like, "Oh, I'll just come back later when you're like 50 and bother you about this problem." Because I'm an adult. And because I'm an adult, I have to deal with adult things, and they don't discriminate on age. Common issue that I'm struggling with, and I can't for the life of me figure out why, is how obsessed with how much time I have in my life that I am obsessed with. I wouldn't say in my life, more that I have in a day. Ever since I started a job, I've been so obsessed with how much time I have in a day, and how many things I can do in that time. I guess it's because of me having a job and no longer having that freedom. I want to try to shove as much activity in a day that I used to, even though it's physically impossible. And I miss that. It's been years since I had that much free time on my hands, and yet I still can't let go. Nobody really understands that. So all I say is, I just get so obsessed with time. I wish I had more time to get so much stuff done. Every time I turn around, I'm just looking at the clock and just trying to schedule or calculate how much time I have left to finish a project. And I would go on and on about how I'm so obsessed with time and how I just feel so upset whenever I can't finish something or get stressed out when something becomes too long to finish. And their only response is, "You're too young to worry about time. You got all the time in the world. Just take your time. Be happy." And it's infuriating. First off, time is something that humans invented in the first place. I say it like I'm an alien, but it's the truth. Time is not a real thing. Animals don't work on time. They don't have a watch. They don't care what time it is or how much time they have left. They live in the moment. We scheduled that time. We made it a thing. So why did all of a sudden we only designate time of an essence to adults? In fact, time is even of less importance the older you get, because they've already done everything they need to do. And therefore, why would they sit there and stare at the clock all day hoping to get stuff done in time? So, time is actually more of importance the younger you are, because, well, the older you get, the less likely or the harder it is to get the stuff done. You know, I'm 24 years old and have not ever traveled the world, or at least not traveled to the other side of the United States. There's a lot I have never done before, and I just feel like my time is running out. People say, don't have kids so soon, to live your life, grab a hobby, get a career, and they always say, oh, it doesn't matter how old you get, I'm still trying to figure out where I want to be and my purpose in life, but just because everybody else is having it doesn't make me feel any better about the fact that I still don't know. I just feel like they make a big deal about living your life at a young age, and I still haven't even really lived my life. Yeah, I have better things from when I was like 21 versus now, which is something I could definitely be happy about, but I feel like at times there could be more to life. But that is not really part of the topic now, is it? I'm more complaining about everybody saying, oh, you're too young to worry about this, you're too young to understand that. And I will never understand it, or better cope with it, as long as you guys keep pushing it under the rug as, oh, you're too young to worry about it. Or you could just give me some tips and pointers to help deal with it, because just because you say, oh, you're only 20, why are you worried about it, doesn't mean I go like, oh, you're right, you're absolutely right. Let me go ahead and push this off to the side. It's none of my concern. I'll wait till I'm 30 or 40 years old to be worried about that. That doesn't even make any sense. It's almost like they don't even want to be reminded about that time exists, and they just rather tell everybody else to shut up about it. Honestly, I feel like I could be taking this completely out of context, or maybe I'm taking it way too seriously, and maybe they're just genuinely wanting me to worry about what I have in the moment. And that could be the case. But honestly, I would just rather them tell me to enjoy the time that I have in the moment, and don't worry about the time you have left in the future. Because I really do only focus on the amount of time I have left. It's just so stressful. I can never just do things in the moment. I always start a project, and the next thing you know, I look outside and the sun is already setting. I just feel like the weekends go by so quickly, and the weekdays drag on so long, and I just don't have time to myself anymore. It sucks. But yes, I might be young, but that doesn't mean everything's irrelevant. That's all I can ask for. Sup? This is Leanne Ribbentie. Just wanted to thank you guys for watching or listening to this video. I don't really have much to say other than I'm hosting a giveaway on my Instagram account, link in the description below. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe and like for more.